Welcome to Objections with Stan Willis. I'm not Stan Willis. This is Stan Willis. Stan, what's going on?
I'm not Mike Morris.
We should rename that show. Stan Willis and not Mike Morris. Stan, ripped from the headlines. I want to know your opinion of this.
Ripped from the headlines.
Yeah, I always think that's better than I was surfing the net for something else and I found this. That's not funny. So the kid that was the baby on the Nirvana. Please don't, because I was going to share some links. Which sounds worse now I think about it, but a great movie title. So the kid that was on as a baby was on the Nirvana album cover, the little naked baby, is suing the band Nirvana because he's saying it's child exploitation.
Do they know the band isn't really?
I don't know if he's kept up with the grunge scene. A lot of those guys aren't around anymore. Kurt Cobain cleared his head. That's not nice. So this guy is saying they exploited him as a child, and it's child pornography, and now they're suing the band.
They exploited him.
Yeah. Now, this kid has posed over the last 20-some years multiple times at different ages holding the album or the CD that he was proud of it. Now he's suing them. What's your opinion on that? Is that exploitation?
Well, I mean, I suppose it could be. We, as a society, our morals have evolved.
Yours may have.
No, I'm talking about society. My morals don't evolve at all. They stay rigidly stuck.
Now I will send those links to you.
in the 19, I don't know what year I want to claim. Anyway, if you think back into back in the 70s, naked babies was not a problem. Then when you get into, say, the late 90s, all of a sudden people are talking about how it's possibly child pornography if you have a picture of your baby naked in the bathtub. That's potentially child pornography, which, whatever. I mean, honestly.
Come on, whatever, never mind.
Whatever, never mind. I mean,
God, that was so well done by you.
At the end, at the end of the day, our society didn't used to be offended by
everything,
right? And now. I saw a comic the other day which had an empty screen behind the guy, and he's pointing to it saying, "This is what you can show that will not offend anyone." Right. And I'm thinking, somebody's going to be offended by that.
Right.
So
I just this is what I think you could end this case this way, okay? Because I don't want to spend forever on it. I just want to bring it up and get your take on it. And I'm assuming this guy's name is Chad or Brad or some bro name. Chad, if you will come to court and pull out that little squirrel thumb and it's the same size, then you have a case. How about that?
Oh, wow.
If you've grown any, you have no case. How about that?
I don't know if because at the end of the day, there are people, very strange people who are somehow turned on by that kind of thing. It's shocking and appalling and kind of awful. But there was a similar thing that happened with the girl from not the waitresses, the Bow Wow Wows. Remember the Bow Wow Wows had an album with her on it. I don't remember if she was completely naked or just partially naked. But anyway, there was this whole child pornography prosecution in Great Britain about that because she was only 14 years old at the time. And so, that became problematic. But that, in my mind, is a different kind of a thing. Now, so the question comes down to, was the first thing you'd have to ask was at the time when they had the album cover, when that came out, at the time, was that a violation of any laws?
Right.
Or anything like that. And then to find an exploitation, he probably was too young to consent. So his parents probably did.
His father was there. His father was friends with a photographer and got $20 for the photo.
$20.
Yeah. To show you're Jack Johnson.
Right. Well,
I've done it for less.
Again, I mean, good Lord.
You're welcome. Listen, man, I've done it because somebody had a few tacos left. And again, another link I will share with you.
Please don't.
I just find that
I think Nate might want that. I'm good.
Nate loves it.
Nate loves tacos.
Nate was trying to hook up the microphones earlier, and I wasn't going to move because I wanted to see if it'd straddle me while he did it. Also because I was being lazy. He thought about it for a minute. We almost schnoodled. I want to move off this topic because that's the fun part. Right. Here's the bad part.
The bad part.
The housing crisis in America is about to fire up again.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So the moratorium is over. The Supreme Court ruled that the CDC doesn't have any say in the moratorium on the housing repayment, restart.
Right. So they're saying that the Biden's executive order can't work like that.
So, well, here's what I find funny about that. Because I know that you're a big fan, and I'm going to get the watch that just has his face on it because he loves to look at watches. So, no disrespect meant to a guy that doesn't know he's president. But when we're looking at this, he's not really stepping in. He's saying that's a matter of Congress. And Nancy Pelosi, in her pulled together face, is saying it's on him to stop it. They're kicking this thing back and forth.
To
stop the foreclosures.
But frankly, I think what the Supreme Court is saying, and what I think they're going to say, is that the president does not have authority to do that. I mean,
but nobody has the ability. No one should have the power to do that because at the end of the day, go ahead.
The only way that you could make that legal is for there to be a law that was introduced into Congress and pass through all the things that every other law has to go through and then go to the president to be vetoed or signed. But I don't think the president has the authority to just abrogate laws in states and both federal and state laws just because he wants to try to help whatever situation is out there. So I think that's a pretty aggressive use of the executive's executive order power, but that power has been expanding at least since the second Bush administration,
right.
And probably,
which was one of the best Bush administrations.
I don't recall off the top of my head how much it was actually used during the administrations before that, but I know that George W. Bush used that power a lot, and then Obama certainly used a lot of executive orders, and then Trump used a lot of executive orders, and then Biden signed more executive orders in the first 3 months he was in office.
47 on the first day, right. 81 million votes. Right. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
So he's doing a great job. So I'm going to tell you how I feel about this situation in terms of just
please do
an everyday consumer, right? Because I'm
on the edge of my seat, man.
Listen, this is riveting stuff. Well, this is the way I'm looking at this. During the can we say we can't? Let's just say when everything just kind of slowed down, because I'm not sure if that keyword's still a thing that gets you in trouble. They paid you money to sit at home, right? So they kind of got you back to your expected
during the shutdown.
Right. And Americans don't save money.
Really?
Right? I mean, it's a new thing. Really? So the average American before the whatever you want to call it had less than $1,000 for an emergency sitting there, right?
Actually, it was $400.
Right.
The average American can't get together $400.
I can't either. That's why I hope I win our bet on Elizabeth Holmes.
You have a bet?
See,
I thought you were loaning me $40.
No. This is why it's not.
Wait, Nate, can you run the footage back on that? Because I want to know. I really think he was giving me $40.
We're going to put a banner up Again, shady times with Stan Willis because I didn't say that. I didn't bet you. The point being is that if you didn't save this money and the government didn't say you're going to owe this money, what people thought was when they heard the student loans, we're just going to bump those back.
Right.
Housing, don't worry about our rent.
Right.
So these people spent this money as though it was their money, as you would do if you were working anyway. So now you've got this culmination of all these months that you're in arrears plus the current month. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to cause, I believe, in the first wave of it is 6 million homes will have people jettisoned out. And I believe within a month, it's
some people were saying. The interesting thing about all this, some of the mortgage companies are, mortgage companies, obviously they're in the business to make money. So what they've been doing during the time that there's been this forbearance is they're still getting interest. And what a lot of the mortgage companies are going to do is amortize from the day you have to start making payments again to the end of your loan. So they're essentially going to take the money that you didn't pay, tack it on the back end of your loan, charge you interest until you pay it off. So that is that's what I see happening on most of the cases. The question is now going to become, what do you have to do to qualify for that?
Right. And how do you get in line?
And does the federal government actually, or is the government going to allow them to do that? And if the government is not going to allow them to do that, then, what other possible remedies are there for it? But from what I've seen and heard, I think that sounds like the most reasonable response from the mortgage industry. The thing that's more problematic is the people who can't make their payments anyway, right? So now you've got foreclosures that were because you have a whole host of foreclosures that hadn't started yet that they've been waiting on. Those are the ones that are going to get filed right away,
right? Because
people were already behind because they already couldn't make their payments, and now you're at you get this magic year and a half of I get to live for free,
right?
Which is great, I guess, if you're not the mortgage company,
or if it never stops, if it stretches into 2 or 3 years.
But so I think that those are primarily the people that are going to be in the largest trouble. I think the thing that's more problematic though is the whole rent part, and then the eviction with the rent, because you have the larger companies that have a lot of apartments, and some of them are set up so that they're going to be able to weather the storm of not getting rents, and they're going to want to collect the back rent because unlike the mortgage company, there's no way for them to be made whole unless the government's going to subsidize them for that, which in some cases the government has.
Well, part of that problem is there was $50 billion allocated in the
second one.
Yeah.
The second PPP.
Only $5 billion was actually distributed. Right. And it wasn't distributed to just one person. So it's like that relief isn't going to get there.
Right.
So part of me, how we like to talk about conspiracy theories is who cares about these people anyway? Because the difference in 2001 and 2007, 2008 is there are black market firms, not black market, venture capital firms that are sitting waiting to buy property.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
They're buying property all over the place.
But I think...
I get a call every week.
Yeah.
Somebody going, hey, you want to sell your house? I'm like, how'd you get my number?
I get a text all the time, and I do respond to it, and then I post my response on Facebook. Like somebody asked, I've been asked if I want to sell a house on Gay Road. Insert joke there. But then I say, the last time I said to the guy, yes, I don't own the house, but if you meet me there, bring an axe and a bag, right? And the guy responded, because it's just an automated thing. Oh, I'm sorry that you don't own the home, but would you like to sell yours? And I'm just thinking, those people are constantly drumming up looking for properties. They're not going to have to look anymore because someone's going to say, I own these 5 properties, buy them, because they're paying $30,000, $40,000 cash offers on top of what it's worth. Mm-hmm. Because the long-term thing is you're going to rent or lease your home, right? If you don't own it now, our kids may not have a chance to own a home. Because it will be owned by an equity firm. Mm-hmm. They learn their lesson from the housing crisis. Mm-hmm. They could also kick you out anytime, right? Mm-hmm. So the dream of home ownership might die with this generation. And I'm fine with it because I have a house. I don't care. Those kids out there, if you're watching this, I don't care. I don't care what happens to you.
He's like that.
Unless you're like 21 to 25 cheerleader. I'm totally kidding. You don't have to be a cheerleader, but the worry I have is for the next generation. What are their hopes and dreams? Because I want to go to college. I want to get a great job. I want to have a home with a picket fence, all that. You might get to go to college and that's about it.
Well, and I mean, college is a whole different scam, right? But anyway,
it's a pyramid scheme for sure.
Did I say scam? I mean, a thing. College is a whole different thing. Yeah. I think that on the renter front, the people who are getting hurt are the small. There's the guy that has 10 houses that he's bought and refurbished over the years, and he's got renters in those things, and now all of a sudden they're not paying rent, or half of them are paying rent. That's the guy that's getting hurt,
right?
And that's the guy that's not getting any help from the government. They're not. He's, they might be able to apply for something, but they're not getting any help from the government. And so those are the people that are in trouble over the whole thing. I mean, as this all shakes out, it's just going to get more and more chaotic. I think. I don't think that it's going to. It's going to take a year or two for, I think, things to kind of normalize. I think over the next couple of years, as lawsuits shake out and backed up supply chains and things like that kind of wean out, then we'll get to settle into something at some point. But I think the next 2 years are going to be pretty chaotic.
I think it's going to be ugly. My question would be, if you're one of those people that's renting or you're in a house or whatever and you lose it, what rights do you have?
If you're kicked out of a house, or if you've lost in part, well, I mean, probably you're looking at needing to file a bankruptcy, or potentially needing to file a bankruptcy of some kind. Even if you're in a house that's being foreclosed on, I mean, maybe you want to do a Chapter 13 or something like that. When we represent people in those situations, and a lot of times with a foreclosure, I mean, really what we're really trying to do is save you from having a completed foreclosure on your credit report and your permanent credit record. But
they got to get to you first, right?
You got to come before. The earlier, the better.
Like you're going to know pretty quickly how bad things are, and you're going to need help. I think there's a lot of people that think, I'm going to figure my way out of this, and you're not. Right. You're just not going to topple that mountain.
Right. But the quicker you get an attorney involved, the better off. The better the result is. I'm not saying that the result's going to be good. I mean, once you're behind on your bills, on your mortgage, on your rent, all those kinds of things, the working out of that is difficult, and sometimes you're looking at a choice between several different not so great results. But the sooner that you have an attorney involved in your process, the more likely it is that we're going to be able to get something that's better than what you're going to get on your own.
What is because the way you just said it to me, like, I've been through ups and downs in my life. And so when you have a business or whatever, you're used to it. If you're not used to that, what is the response when because do they come in hopeful, like, oh, you'll fix it? Because I wonder sometimes if you're like the dentist, like, I know I got to come here. I'm going to hate it the whole time. I don't care how cool this guy is. I still am in pain. Right. They're not leaving maybe they're leaving with a little bit of relief, but right. You're not going to go, hey man, don't worry about it. It's good.
Not a lot of the time. We're saying, well, here's the bad news. Here's the good news. Here's the stuff that's just news. But
did you hear about the Nirvana kid? Anyway, you're losing all your shite.
What we try to do is we try to help people get things arranged so that they can get in the best possible situation, and we try to help them then also not only getting in the best possible situation, but then give them a path to kind of start to come out of it.
So there is a way to eventually recover if you follow a process.
Yeah.
How many people follow that process? I don't mean in the world. I just meant that you've talked to.
That we've talked to? I'd say a good number. I mean, I don't have a percentage in my head of what that is. But
13.
Okay, maybe 13.
I just want to throw out numbers.
142.
These are all legit. Copy them all down.
Yes.
Play the lottery with it.
90% of statistics are made up on the spot, right?
100%. But I was thinking also of this is that I think when we think of people losing their house, you immediately think of poor people. It's not just
it's
that.
not necessarily poor people. I mean, it can
Ugly
be
people?
It can be ugly people. It can be pretty people. It can be people who lost their job due to the shutdown or whatever. It can be people who had a health crisis. It can be people who have been defrauded and didn't have insurance or a way to recover from that. You know, if you have your identity stolen and you don't have the right insurance for that, that can create huge financial losses for you.
You're telling me now I need insurance for that?
Yeah.
Because I've been stealing everyone's identity lately.
Have you?
Yeah.
You may not be able to get insured for that.
Well, I know some shady insurance people, okay? Just so you know. They're always wanting my business. I'm going to see if I can get it on that.
All right. Well, you told me your name was Finn. I'm just kind of surprised.
Obviously, I run a very impressive spa, and I do this.
You look very Nordic, actually.
I do. I think it's because my nose is as big as a ski slope.
Nordic-looking Puerto Rican I've ever met.
Hey, you know what? Just for a second, I want to point out that this show actually did something good.
We did.
I know a lot of people are like, that show's garbage.
That was
and I want
an
to say, Mom and Dad, thanks for listening. But
hey, you're ahead. My mom and dad don't listen.
well, I've been sending them links again to other things. They watch it more than listen. So we did a show, I think a month or so ago.
Hey, you're picking on my mom.
I'm trying to pick her up. Wink. So we freed Brittany.
Yes, we did.
As soon as we did that show, and I guarantee it's because we did that show, she got her concert. Everything's good.
Yeah.
So we should do that for Mandela. Can we do? Who else is in trouble that we should speak up for?
Who else is in jail?
Yeah.
That we should speak up for?
Yeah, because I feel like I don't want to be a downer the entire time.
I don't know. We should talk to Kim Kardashian. She has a whole list.
I feel so bad for her. Kanye cheated on her.
Kanye?
Yeah. After
Really?
she dropped 2 of his calves, he cheated on her.
Really?
I think the biggest crime in that is that terrible album that he just released. Unlistenable.
Oh, really?
Can we sue Kanye for putting out garbage? Because he promoted that for like a year.
The unfortunate thing is you can sue anybody for anything.
I don't really care if
whether
we
or not
win.
it'll actually work.
I don't really care if we win. I just think we would get on the cover of the New York Post. You and I, like we have like a Crockett and Tubbs thing. Obviously, I'm Crockett because you're darker. But if we were doing that and they say 2 young stallions sue Kanye, do you know the kind of business we could get? Just people watching the show. I know you're thinking about it.
Okay, well, I'll think about it some more.
I'm just going to need about $50 million.
I'm not a big fan of getting sanctioned because my lawsuit was frivolous. That's just the thing that I'm just not a big fan.
I'm really
of
upset. You can't prove mentally that I'm not really upset, and we're going after him.
Okay, well, you go ahead.
Okay,
let me know how it works out for you.
We're going to post it here. I just was happy
I think Nate will be your attorney.
I have an attorney friend that's not a practicing attorney, and I'm going to see if he'll do it. Scott Briley, if you would call into the show. We don't have a phone bank, but if you could call in.
Big call in, please.
You know what, Nate?
Why don't we just hear for the next 5 minutes to see if Scott calls?
We should get phones, like those old school phones, and just set them here. And then I just want to hear one person call in.
Like with a rotary dial?
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Just for this show.
What the heck were we talking about?
We were talking about people losing their homes, and you said ugly people are going to lose their homes.
I said
that's a quote.
Yeah, well, the thing is that there are a lot of reasons why you can be in trouble and be losing your homes. You're small business people continually. I mean, it's all up and down. I experience a lot of the ups and downs in my business, and sometimes you you get behind us. So small business people notoriously have bad credit ratings and stuff like that because, you might have a bad month and then you're screwed for a while.
Or a bad quarter.
Bad quarter. So there are a lot of reasons why you could be in this situation. The most important thing in all of it is find a job. If you have a job that's actually paying you for the work
services
that you do,
rendered,
right?
That's a professional term.
If you actually have a job, then you can work yourself out of all this stuff. And the people that I see that are having a hard time are people that just can't get work. They just, if you can't work, it's really, really tough to work out of the cycle. And these people people who get into the government programs and the government housing, they find themselves trapped a lot of times by those things. So I think that, if you can find a job, get one. That's the thing that most likely will help you get out of these situations once you're in it. And it seems obvious, but it's really not necessarily that obvious. I don't.
Not in the US of A the last 18 months. Stan, I think we're going to end it here, but we're going to say, Brittany, you're welcome. And do you want to give an address for her to send anything?
No,
Cards,
I really don't think my wife would appreciate Brittany and I communicating. So
well, I'm tired of her calling me too. That's been Objections with Stan Willis, and we will see you next week.